Well, hello and welcome to Rooted Without Walls, Held Without Pots and Growing in God Alone. Welcome to the house of Manna. This is part of my new extension of my ministry called The Healing Leaf with Evangelist Hickman. First, I want to take the time to introduce you to some of my Kokedma babies. That's what I call them, my Kokedma babies. And it is exactly what it says, being rooted without pots and just really giving what you need, being rooted in God alone. See, the gospel according to a moss ball or a ball of moss is simple. Kokedma means moss ball, but spiritually, it's a sermon. It's a sermon about how God holds us together when life tries to break us apart. Right? We've all experienced that. It is the art of lifting a plant out of its pot, like this, right? My fern. Stripping it away from every wall and wrapping it in binding that keeps it anchored, right? Anchored and alive. It has exactly what it needs. A Kokedma survives not because it has a pot, but because it carries strong roots, a center, and a connection. A connection. Yes. Okay? Not because it has a pot, but because it carries strong roots, a center, and a connection. My baby center is its roots in sago moss, and it's enclosed in moss, bound together with twine. This is a picture of the believer, if you think about it, in the wilderness season. See, I just come out of my wilderness season. And this is what the Lord revealed to me through my plants. See, sometimes we become uprooted, uncontained, unboxed, yet still in the hands of God. Amen? Some of us need to think about that. I entered on this journey, this wilderness. Oh my goodness, my wilderness started, I'm not sure how long ago, but it's been a minute. I'm going to say as early as the early part of 2025. So I want to share with you a few things that God revealed to me through my plants. One thing is rooted without walls. When the pot is removed, the plant faces what many of us have lived through, right? We have no structure, no predictable support, no guaranteed stability. And yet, the root remains, right? Kokedma Theology says this. Let's see. How can I put this simply? The Theology of Kokedma says, even without walls, I depend on God. Okay? So even without the walls I depended on, God still keeps me grounded. Your life may have seasons where the pot of security gets removed. The pot of relationships crack or break, right? right? The pot of comfort becomes uncomfortable, right? Comfort disappears. And the pot of certainty, you know, how we feel certain about certain things, that's even taken away. How many of you all have felt like that before? Right? I can relate. I'm telling you, all of this came from my wilderness, and I'm sharing it in my ministry. But God says, I will be your container. Let me say it again. But God says, I will be your container. See, the Kokedma taught me that what holds me isn't what surrounds me, but what was inside of me is what held me. That strong root. Amen. See, if we don't get strong in our roots, then everything else is weakened. So here's the second point that I wanted to get into. The moss, this moss right here, this is how God uses soft things to hold strong roots. Because some of us are so strong, we don't think we need anything. We ain't dependent on nobody but ourselves, right? But God uses soft things to hold strong roots. The moss layer is not brittle. It's not, because if you touch it, it's soft. It's not brittle. It's soft, tender, and flexible. Yes. But woven together, it becomes strong enough to carry life. So what my kokedmas are wrapped in are sheet moss. Okay, and they're all, it's held together. You know how it grows, and it's scraped up off the ground, and it's living. Okay, this is God's way. He uses compassion. He uses humility. He uses gentleness. He uses worship, tears, and surrender on top of soft things to hold together the strongest callings. See, back to the Kokedma theology, it declares, not whispers, it declares God's strength, strengthens me through the softness the world overlooks. See, during my wilderness, I went through some stuff, and it caused me, or what he was stripping me of was that strength and that strong, and that I don't need him. It was strengthening me through softness the world overlooked. He was strengthening me, showing me how that me being tender was not weakness. He was showing me that my compassion was not fragile. It wasn't fragility, okay? And my vulnerability was not a flaw, because the things that was happening to me was making me be vulnerable, which was uncomfortable, which was that pot that I had put around me. See, all those things that I just said, those are the moss. They bind our lives with divine strength. Okay? Which leads me to the next thing, binding. The binding. What God wraps you in keeps you alive. Woo, I had to learn that the hard way. Because once the moss surrounds the roots, it must be bound, tied, wrapped, and secured. My babies that I introduced you to, some of them, I bound them, wrapped them, and secured them in fishing line because I wanted it to be invisible. But then, I am on Kintsugi, where God fills all the broken pieces of us and put us back together with gold. So I'm going to rewrap my babies in some twine and secure them just to show that we can be broken and still be beautiful. Okay? See, in our spiritual life, God binds us with his word, his spirit, his truth, his promises, his peace, his presence, his calling, his covenant, his everything. And that's why I want to rewrap my babies with this, because Kokedma Theology tells me this. It tells me that. So, Kokedma Theology says, with me rewrapping my babies with the twine, that I am held together by what God has spoken over me. Not by people in my life, not by approval from others, not by any circumstance, not by titles that I've been given or any positions. That goes for you as well. You are not bound by that. You are bound by God's hand. And that binding is enough. You can trust it. It is enough. When I tell you my wilderness, and I'll show you my two pieces that God gave me a vision to create two moss pictures to create a moss wall. And I will show you those on another take so you can see. Binding is enough. And he had to take me through a long time for me to get that through my mind. Which leads me to the next thing. The sphere, the moss ball. God makes you whole again. So when you come out of that pot and you just exposed and dangling and roots all raw and all that stuff, and you get put into this Kokedma or your moss ball, and it's shaped perfectly because that's what he's doing. The Kokedma is shaped into a perfect sphere. You are being shaped into a perfect being, symbolizing wholeness, restoration, and divine order. Amen? God doesn't just heal pieces of us. He didn't just heal pieces of me, because I'm telling you, he stripped me down, limb by limb, heart, head, my body, everything. But even after he does that, he reforms you into something whole, complete, and beautiful. Even after uprooting, even after shaking loose the old soil, even after being stripped of the pot, the containers that once defined you. Decline. Both, actually. Because it didn't support you. But define. Because it's not who he called you to be. Kokedma Theology reminds us that God doesn't return us to what was. He shapes us, all these different shapes. He shapes us. See? He shapes us. He shapes us into what we are becoming. What we are becoming. Amen? This is the house of Manna. I'm no longer the local peace. I'm not that anymore. I've been elevated. by God. He put a message in my spirit saying, you are now the house of manna. This was all transformation, and this was spiritual formation in my green. That's what that was all about. Now, thriving anywhere. Place me where you will, Lord. That's what all of this was about. Something is coming, and I gotta accept it. A Kokedma can sit on a tray. It can hang on from a window. It can rest on a stand. It can float in the air in your hand if you wanted to. Because its life is not dependent on a position like this. I can't walk around holding this. It's contained. Right? Beautiful pot. She's not a Kokedma candidate though. Life is not dependent on the position, but on the connection. The connection. This was a word for my ministry that I wanted to share. Because he was telling me and showing me I can thrive in any place that he puts me. Now, did I know what that meant at the time? No, I did not. But whether wilderness or promise or valley or mountaintop, right? God-enabled roots. Let's say it again. God-enabled roots can flourish anywhere. You don't need the ideal condition to grow. This is what he was saying to me. And I'm sharing this with you. Stop waiting for conditions to be right. Stop staying in the same pot. You don't need ideal conditions to grow. You only need God's hand. And he has been showing me that all of 2025. And I'm so glad that I'm able to share this before 2025 ended, because it gave me the light that I have come through my wilderness. Which leads me to the watering. Submersion is healing. See, a Kokedma is watered by soaking. I have another video I will show or put in the healing leaf to show them in their baths. See, completely immersed until it bubbles with release. And that's what he does. I've done it. I've seen it. It is a baptism. It is a renewal. It is a restoration. It is the picture of how God restores the weary. Amen. I'm telling you, this is, people have been laughing at me and talking to me about, talking to me about all of my plants and stuff and nature girl. I've had to have life in every room of my house now. Because it is the picture of how God restores the weary. It's a reminder for me. It's a reminder. He immerses us. He saturates us. He fills us until the dryness breaks. Until we just bubble up. Right? You cannot revive a dry Kokedma with just a sprinkle of water. And this one right here, you can't feel it, but she needs a soaking because she is dry. She feels very light, right? He cannot revive me if I'm dry, if I don't have strong roots, if I'm steady going out there, right? Putting myself out there. You cannot revive a dry Kokedma with just a sprinkle. You have to soak it. And there are seasons in your life when God says, child, you don't need a sprinkle of my presence. You need full immersion. And I can hear him saying that to me. And I'm telling you, I wasn't getting the sprinkles. I wasn't getting anything. I needed a full immersion. Pretty much started out in February to November. The final word that I have to say. Kokedma is the house of manna metaphor. And that's my new elevation. That's my new ministry name. The house of manna. It's no longer the locale piece. Because he told me, you are no longer that donkey carrying. You are now the place where they come to be fed. Kokedma reflects my calling, feeding my soul, refreshing spirits, restoring hope, binding the broken, and rooting the uprooted. That's my ministry. It is manna for the eyes. The house of manna is the healing leaf. Grace for the hands. And it's a visual sermon. I will post something that my plants speak to me through their kokedmas. And the message that they give will be simple. Basically saying what my confession is through Kokedma. I don't know what yours would be, but my confession is now I am held together by God. This year could have torn me down, torn me apart, but he held me together. I am rooted, even when I'm unpotted. All the certainty, the comforts, and all that stuff was stripped away. Comforts in marriage, relationships, friendships, motherhood, all of that stripped away. But I am supported, even without the walls, because of him. I am softened, but not because I'm weak. I am wrapped and bound and shaped by his hands. I'm the clay. I am by his hands. And I thrive wherever he places me. And my life is a testimony in green. So I look forward to sharing my testimony with you, or continually, just in a different way. And I invite you to share and to like, because I might just be talking to you, or you might know someone who might need to hear. So thank you for being here. I look forward to bringing you my other videos that we talked about and some more of my plants, because I have plenty more. And I'll be going through some just some stuff with you when I'm dealing with them. I just won't do it by myself anymore. I think the Lord has called me out. I woke up the other day with a song in my heart, and I believe it was God speaking to me then when I said it was a new light, it was a new day, and I'm feeling good. I think I got the words right. I'm not sure. But I believe that was Nina Simone. And that's how I felt. I feel good. So now it's time for me to do my part. And that's to share with you what God is putting into my hands, pouring into me, working in the dirt, tilling in the dirt, connecting with him. Amen.